Welcome to the Gamers Inn. Come on in, pull up a chair next to the fire. It looks like you've had a long journey. I'm your host Jocelyn, and joining me as always is my co-host Ryan. Hello, Ryan.
Hello. And we are all calm and
We are
collected.
going to our happy place.
Yes, we're just gonna sail out into the sunset and
I am
watch
telling you,
this all.
it, yeah, it has not been my day. It has not been my week. I have been laid up for the last, almost 48 hours with a neck spasm, hence the braid, because I couldn't actually reach over my head to do my hair tonight. So, it's just, I've been in a not very happy place. But this is the Gamers Inn, and tech issues aside that have now put us half an hour behind schedule, we are still, doing the show. It's my happy place, and so let's do this thing. So, that game, whose name I can't pronounce, is it Godus or Godus?
Godus sounds like something you'd find in the nether regions. I mean, I think it's Goddess.
I think it's Goddess too, but it's spelt really funny.
But Godus just sounds so
It
dirty.
really does.
He's got a case of the Godus.
That's awful. Ugh.
Let's cancel the show.
We're off
I
to
gotta,
such a great start.
yeah. Scratch the Godus. Let's just move on. No, Goddess. I almost said Godus again. Yeah, Goddess. So this is early access on Steam. Have you been playing a lot of it? Are you liking it?
Again, with the whole neck spasm thing, I actually haven't played nearly as much of anything as I wanted to. I ended up missing Pirate Day and WoW because I got myself up off the couch and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna play WoW for like 20 minutes. I just want my achievement. It comes one day of the year. I just want to dance with a pirate wench and get my achievement. And then, so it was like, it doesn't start till 2 p.m. your time because stupid WoW is on stupid Pacific time. So I was like, oh, and then I forgot to go back and do it. So I totally didn't get that achievement. But what I have been doing is reading because I couldn't get off the couch. So, and not in the sitting up gaming way, in like a laying on my back kind of way. So, actually picked up Warcraft, the War of the Ancients trilogy, which is amazing. I'm almost the whole way through the first book, and it's just so good, dude. It's like I'm reading through and I'm just like, oh my god, this is amazing. This is filling in all the holes, all the things that I didn't understand. And it's like they tell me things and I understand what happened in like Burning Crusade in like 2 paragraphs, and then there's a whole other story, and I'm just like, oh, this is amazing.
Isn't the War of the Ancients trilogy like stuff that takes place like 10,000 years before everything?
It
It's like
is,
old
but
stuff.
it's like the
It
main
sort of explains the
characters.
Legion, right?
Yeah, the main characters are kind of thrown back into that time. So you get this like chapter and a half at the beginning that's just kind of like setting the stage. And so it's like you meet the couple main characters and they're really big into the world, and it explains the stuff that happened kind of just before Burning Crusade, or just no, sorry, just after Burning Crusade. And so you kind of like get this whole like, this is who this person is and this is their backstory in a paragraph, and this is this person and this is their backstory. And so now I know like all about the Burning Legion, all about Sylvanas, all about like the Lich King, and like all of these things are explained in like one chapter, and I'm like, oh.
Right. I mean, we've discussed this in the past where like WoW is not the best benchmark for Blizzard's storytelling abilities. Like if you want to look at really good storytelling for Warcraft, you unfortunately have to go back. Not unfortunately, they're great games, but you have to go back to the RTSs. Because Warcraft 3 was what set up the best story content in WoW, which was Wrath of Lich King, dealing with how Arthas was this like spoiled prince and changed into the Lich King, and all the characters that are, I mean, pretty much everything that happened in Warcraft 3 was setting up like 10 different things that they could touch on throughout the 10 years that World of Warcraft has been around. I mean, Burning Crusade with Illidan, and the Blood Elves. Then you have Wrath of Lich King with Arthas, and then
Well,
Cataclysm with Deathwing.
this story, at least the first part, touches on like the Night Elves and the first coming of the Legion and Illidan. It's actually like Illidan is a main character, but as his like original Night Elf self. So it's really, really interesting. I didn't want to get too much into it, but if you're into Warcraft and you find, like me, that there's a lot of blanks, like War of the Ancients, I 100% recommend. Like, it's so good, and I'm not even through the first book yet. But it's really good storytelling, and even if you're not into Warcraft, if you're just interested in maybe getting into Warcraft or seeing what it's like, or if you just like fantasy fiction, it's amazing. It's really high fantasy, it's really well told, and it's just great fictional writing. It's not like, you don't have to be into video games, you don't have to be into Warcraft. You can pick it up and jump right in, and it's like I said, it's backstories of characters that I recognize and can add more things in from my knowledge of WoW, but the story doesn't suffer if you have never played WoW. So, like, you can totally just jump right in, and it gives you everything you need to know for the book, as well as fills in some of the blanks of the backstory of Warcraft. Like, it's such a good read, and it's fast paced. Like I said, it's a really easy read. Like I said, I'm probably about 250 pages in, and I've been reading it for a day, and I haven't even, not steady. So, I mean, I've actually been watching Joel play through the end of Mass Effect 3, so that was I had pillows all around holding my head up so I could sit there and watch him play. But, yeah, it's a really easy read, and I read pretty fast anyway, but it's all around good, so you guys should check it out. But, so I was intending, where this whole big long story was taking me, is that I was intending on playing Godus, but I didn't get to until today at about 5 o'clock, and I totally just tweaked my neck. I should stop talking with my hands. So I was going to play more. I was going to stream. What do I do with my hands?
Good, I'm glad you cut that.
So, I was just definitely tried to get into it, played about half an hour of it, but you should probably give your first impressions of everything, because it's a beta, which we should keep in mind. It's a beta.
I wouldn't even consider it like a beta. I think early access has sort of like inflated the true meaning of beta. I mean, beta is something that is near completion. After beta you get golden master or whatever, something that is going to go to print or to Steam or whatever. But beta this is a very early beta. Like, when they say early access, like, they really mean it. Not that I wouldn't even call it alpha. They did have an alpha. Cornelia in the chat room is wondering if it's like alpha, but it's a step above that, because you can play through the entire segment or whatever. I don't know. It's kind of, there's not a lot of documentation in it to know like where you are in the overall scheme of the game, but I'm interested because my first half hour with the game was probably the simplest and like at point where I was like, yeah, this is neat. I kind of think this will
Really?
well, for the most part, like, really, yeah. I that's why I wanted to ask, because I felt like in the first half hour I was like, okay, I feel like this could be something, but it's not a complete game. Like, it feels like they're missing segments.
It felt like, to me, I guess I got far enough, because basically what happens is it's a god game, so you have the ability to manipulate not only your followers but the world around them. So you can manipulate the terrain, you can remove rocks and trees and stuff, and you get extra god power for removing the rocks and trees. And then they build settlements when you clear enough land, which I kind of thought sucked, because I was like, oh, but look at the palm trees, they're all pretty, I don't really want to cut them down, but if I don't cut them down then they can't build their settlements. So I was kind of like, well, now I just have this big huge island full of like no trees, so it's just like this big flat space of sand, so lame. But then I got far enough to have enough settler dudes that they were all dying, so there's that. And then
that's the worst.
And then I connected the first island to the second piece of land, but then nobody went over there. So I was just like, what's the point of this stupid game where everyone just dies? It's just teaching me that I'm horrible at being God.
Well, okay, I think again, like, being an early game and not really getting playtests from people who have not been working on it. I mean, from what I understand of the development, but that's a good point. Like, it felt like you were always complaining, wow, there's too much hand-holding in video games. But this is a good example.
I don't sound like that at all.
That was an impression of John. It's like it's been so long I can't remember what he actually sounds like. So sorry, John. It is John, right? Anyways, I think that this is an example of it being a detriment towards gameplay, where you don't sort of explicitly tell, because you literally start the game with two dudes walking around and a giant rock in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's pretty easy to tell that, like, there's, it's faded out, and in the center is the rock and the two dudes, and you click on the rock, and it goes away, and they build their first settlement.
Which is totally not what I did. I totally clicked on one of the dudes, and nothing happened. I clicked on the other dude, and nothing happened, and then I misclicked and hit the tree, and it went down a little, and I was like, oh, I can get rid of the trees. Chop, 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 chop. Now what? I tried clicking on the dude again, and again, it was a misclick that made me click on the rock, and I was like, oh. I thought it was like something along the lines, because Joel and I had a conversation earlier today about why I usually lose interest in games like this, like not like this, but like iOS games or Facebook games like Farmville and stuff like that, where you have to build a town, but then it stops you at a paywall, and basically it's like you can wait 6 hours or you can pay 25 cents and skip that time. So, and then your house will be built, and then you can move on to the next stage. So I totally thought that's what this was, that it was just like a run in the background thing, and I had to wait for the dudes to finish, like, tapping at the rock, and then the rock would be gone. I thought I had to, like, make more workers somehow or something, but everything I clicked on wasn't working, and then I was like, oh, click the rock. Oh, you got me, Godus.
Yeah. Well, he's got you right by the Godus. But, We had a question in the chat that they're asking, is it an RTS or a God game? It's not like Black and White, where Black and White is a better design game in the sense that they explain what to do. They give you more options. In this, you are literally a god with a pointer, and you are gonna click a lot. I mean, you didn't get far enough to get to the point where I was getting click cramps. Like you have to click a lot. Like, you're building this massive settlement, and it just expands, and what happens with the buildings that you build, there are two resources that pop out of them. There's belief, which is this pink orb thing that allows you to... Is that the
pink thing? Oh,
yeah.
I totally didn't get that. Okay, 1 second. I am... Time out. We are pausing. I think I have to change something, so I have to end the stream, and I'll start the stream, so we will pick this up right where we left off. Sorry, guys, just... 1 second. It's like we never stopped. That was so quick, I bet you guys couldn't even tell. So, back to who has us by the Godus.
Yes. The game is definitely a god game, and the belief stuff that you get, the pink orbs that show up over your buildings, is one resource, one click, and the other click is these little flags that pop up, which means the dudes are done doing the goddess. And then a new dude pops out. Basically, they have sexual relations. I mean, I'm not going to explain it for you people. I mean, you can look it up on the internet.
There's
right
birds
there.
and bees and stuff.
Yeah.
It's all very confusing.
That always sounded so painful when you think about it. But, yeah, so you can imagine...
And I'm pretty sure that on the third click, because you click it once to collect the belief, you click it twice to release the dude inside, which is your new follower or whatever. And I'm pretty sure if you click it a third time, you knock on the door. And if you click it a fourth time, you knock down the building. Because I found that I misclicked a lot in this game.
Well, it's very easy to knock down a building by manipulating the ground.
Oh, maybe that's what I did by accident, is click and drag, because I did that a lot too. And then clicking and dragging to manipulate the ground uses up your god power. So I was just like, all of a sudden it was like, you have no god power. And I was like, but I haven't even done anything yet. I don't understand.
Yeah, and like, again, being beta, a lot of this stuff will probably be addressed throughout development. They do advertise that this is about 40% complete by their measures, which does make me hopeful that this will shape into the game that we all want it to be. But right now, like, the bigger your settlement gets, the idea is to build as many followers as possible, because that's how you progress through the game. But the more followers you have, the more buildings you have, the harder it is to manage. So when I boot up the game, the first thing I'm doing is scroll.
I was clicking so much. And Joel was like, are you playing that cube game? I was like, yeah, it feels like it.
With the
Same
same
dude.
dudes. You know, like this feels like a mobile game. Now, could you imagine on a tablet, like on your iPad, just you have your town and you just swipe, swipe, you know, and just that's much more intuitive than going around with, you know, your WASD and your clicker and just going through and clicking and
I wasn't actually using the WASD keys. I was using, if you, at least on my mouse, click the middle mouse wheel, and then that's like a click and drag, and then you can, yeah, that was your pan, and then you could click. I think I was just panning and clicking mostly. But then again, you have, as you pan, I found sometimes I would actually accidentally like click and drag, or I was trying to click on a follower and that would drag, and then all of a sudden the ground would move, and then you get some that were like stuck in the sand up to the waist. I'm like, oh, sorry, my bad. Again, bad
yeah.
God.
Well, the I don't know if you got this far, but where the game really shines is where you get to basically the campaign, like the campaign within the campaign. Like your goal is to get as far as possible with your settlement, to just keep building and getting more features as you go on. But there's this little what's called Battle of the Monuments or something, and it's usually around your third settlement where you'll find this giant statue, and when you click on it, it'll load up this little window that is basically the campaign where you're in a chat room and people are you know talking about playing Godus online with other people, and it's this sub story where like these people, I thought for sure it was just loading me into a chat room and someone was talking to me, but it turns out like it's these characters in this game where they're like, oh, hey, my name's Amy. I'm gonna play a game with you before my dad gets home, and I'm just like, this is so weird. Why? I don't need to know this. And it turns out it's all scripted, and when you get in, it sets you on these you know. Oh man, what's the word I'm looking for?
I have no idea what you're talking
Scenarios.
about.
You don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh,
That's the worst
scenarios.
part. They set up you with these scenarios where it's like, okay, you know, first person to destroy the other civilization wins, or first person to get, you know, 100 followers wins, and that goes for about 10, and then you hit a wall where you have to progress again to unlock more. And I'm at the point where my guys are dying faster than I can click, and you know, I'm running out of belief because you know, every time you click on a flag, you use belief. And
Yeah, and every
I
time
guess
somebody dies, you lose 50.
you lose a lot, yeah. And I mean, at one point, you can use this power that's called totem. That when you activate it, it makes all the dudes go to that spot. And
Oh, is that so you can click them easier?
well, that's so you can move them around. You still
Oh.
there's no easy way to get them to stop from dying, because what you can do is you can refresh their health by clicking on them. But that, when you have 1,500 followers, that is really tedious. So what I was doing was, like, I was finally like so sick of being in this like between 1,000 and 1,500 follower bracket that I just set
Wait, how do you know what your population is?
in the top left there's like a blue bar.
Oh, okay,
Like,
so I couldn't actually see the blue bar. I could see the very bottom of like what looked like a book, but as soon as I told it to go full screen and I tried every resolution all the way down to it was like this much of my screen, and I was just like I could not see that bar. I could not tell what it was telling me. It was like there was a little bit of a sliver so I could tell when I was getting close to leveling up, and then there was like the bottom of the book which is collecting cards or something.
yeah.
Yeah, so I was so confused, and I was like, I don't even know what's going on. If I had 50 followers, that would be the most probably.
It's tough, you know, it's tough to judge this game because I like where it's going, but it needs to be better before you can't go out and buy this thinking like I'm going to play the new Peter Molyneux game and have a blast. You can have fun with it, but it is very early and they are going to be making changes for the
Yeah.
better. And
I
like
watched the trailer and it looked awesome. I was super psyched. I mean, it looks like, I don't know if it's further on in the game where you unlock more powers or if that's stuff that's
yeah.
going to be coming or if it's an area of the world I just haven't bridged my dudes to yet. I don't know, but I could not see myself playing that game enough to get to that location. like to get that far. And actually, I should totally say, I didn't point it out right off the top because of all the stuff going on, but Scotty D actually was the one who sent me the copy on Steam. So thank you very much, Scotty. I'm definitely enjoying my early access and first look at this game. Not really enjoying the game that much, but again, I think we do need to keep in mind that a lot's going to change. I found it was, given who makes it, I was a little bit disappointed in the graphics and how, like I said, I misclicked a lot. I found that I couldn't zoom in close enough so that the clicking was easy, because when you do that, you're just scrolling all the time, right?
Right.
And so I was pretty much zoomed as far out as you could possibly be, and then zooming out as far as you could go made it really, really hard to click on things properly without, I was knocking down houses, and I was like making mountains and, saving some dudes, but mostly just trapping them all in the sand.
Oh man, you can bury some fools. I just I kind of want to get farther because I'm feeling that addictive need to get to the next level, but it's frustrating because really I think the death mechanic of your followers is
maybe
a
I
bad
wasn't
mechanic.
Yeah, maybe I wasn't feeling that because I couldn't see my level thing. I had no sense of actually progressing. I was collecting cards out of treasure chests, which gives you different resources. So, I think, I was kind of working towards something in that way, but even then it was like, if you get 3 timber and 1 felt, then you get a construction card. And I was like, well, why the F do I want a construction card? Like, what does that even do? I don't understand.
Well, I mean, it progresses your civilization. I mean, like I said, all the building blocks are there for a great game. It just feels like they need to connect the dots. And I mean, when you're building these type of games, like, again, being early, when you're doing game design, usually the last thing you put in is the tutorial type stuff, like the, connecting the dots. Right now, all the dots are there. It'll be down the road when they start adding, like, okay, they'll do play tests and they'll realize, oh, someone's having an issue where they're not clicking on the rock right away. We should probably have a god advisor or something, that says, oh, you should clear some land for these people. It's that simple. It's appreciated because it sets up the idea for the rest of the game. And don't think I'm telling Peter Molyneux how to do his job. He knows this. He's just building a game. We're not used to playing games this early, right?
Okay, so do you think that this was a good decision or a bad decision in terms of actually releasing this when to the public? Because this isn't just a beta. This isn't like Hearthstone where it's invite only. This is if you choose to, if you either back the Kickstarter, which is what Ryan did, or if you go to Steam right now, you can actually buy your way into the beta and you get the game when it actually releases as well, right? Like if you buy through Steam.
Yeah, it just carries over.
Exactly. So it's basically like a pre-order with a beta invite, I guess, kind of, for, I think it's $20 on Steam. So basically they've released it to anyone who's willing to give them $20. Good idea, bad idea? And this kind of goes with beta testing in general, I think, because I'm starting to feel not necessarily burnt out on Hearthstone, but I'm feeling like I don't want to go any further because it's all going to be wiped.
Yeah, and they've already said with this, I believe, that they are planning to let you carry forward your game. So, but the problem with that is that you could be missing early content that they, fix up. But I think personally, I enjoy that the Kickstarter gave people the ability to sign up for the alpha or sign up for the beta with their money. And I wanted to get into the beta because I am vested in this project. That's the way I feel about Kickstarter. I know you're not actually investing in it, but I feel like I invested.
Well, no, that's actually the whole idea behind Kickstarter, right? Is it's not supposed to be a pre-order system. It's supposed to be a micro investing site where you get a whole bunch of people to give you $20 instead of one person to give you $1 million. So you are an investor in this game.
Well, yeah,
that's literally what you are.
But like a business person hears investor and it's like, oh, well, what are your returns annually on your percentage lines? It's like, what? I don't know. I just get the game, man. Shut up.
Invest this.
Yeah. So yes, I feel like I'm an investor, and I feel like having beta access was important to me. because they're going to give us Kickstarters beta access or alpha access early enough that we can affect the development of the game, which is what people want.
Okay, so then as a Kickstarter backer, do you feel a little bit slighted that now they've opened it up to Steam early access? Because, I mean, you could have just waited and paid $20 and got into it through Steam. You didn't have to back the Kickstarter. So do
Yeah,
you feel like you're... Because the whole reason you backed the Kickstarter was so that you could drive the development of this game, and now all of a sudden they're just like, no, we're just going to let anybody do it. It's fine.
I never really thought of it that way. I'm not upset, but I think I just feel bad for them because I feel like it was too early for Steam access. Because Steam early access, there's no gateway.
Yeah.
You're spending the same amount of money that, or even less than you would on the full product, and you're getting something that isn't the full product. And a lot of gamers, as we know, are very opinionated. And when they play this, they're like, well, when they play this, they're going to be like, this is shit.
Yeah.
I want my money back. It's like, but you're not playing the game you paid for. You're helping with development. I mean, that's why betas are so locked behind, like limited keys and stuff, so they can ensure that, the message is controlled and they're actually getting feedback. But it'll be interesting. I know their team has been hit pretty hard with this beta. Like, they've been working around the clock and been kind of quiet, trying to get as many updates out as possible. There's only been one update just to fix some hardcore bugs. But I'll probably keep visiting it, and when major updates come out, I would probably advise people to check it out if they have it, and just keep an eye on it because it's gonna get better, I think.
Excellent message, Ryan. You're so
Yeah,
positive. And here I thought I burst your bubble.
No, see, if there's anything anybody to learn from listening to this show, it's hard to burst my bubble.
Yeah, you're positive almost to a fault.
I mean, I would never blindly follow, well, I mean, we'll see. I am planning on getting back into Pokemon, so, I mean, this could be really bad.
It could be really bad. So what else have you been playing this week?
So last night,
Okay.
finished, around midnight, I load up the Wii U, and I'm like, all right, got me some points code. Let's download some Wind Waker HD. So I did that, and I'm not as young as I used to be.
Oh my god, that's how the neck thing happened. So I just totally jumped into volleyball and played like I did when I was playing varsity in college and went all out, and then couldn't move my head for 2 days. Not as young as I used to be.
I didn't pull anything. I was just really tired in the morning. So I realized, and I did it twice in a row because I played, well, to finish this off, the download and install finished at 12:45, and I'm like, yeah, Wind Waker, and the story starts, and I'm all like, oh my god, I remember, this is so great, and then I start to get tired, and I start to be like, I really want to enjoy this. I'm going to stop playing because I'm super tired. 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
10 minutes. I couldn't last more than 10 minutes. And I was like, I woke up in the morning, I'm like, oh my god. This is that moment where I say that thing that makes me unhappy, and I said it. I was like, man, I just don't know if I can do it anymore. Because the night before, I did a similar thing where my friends, my old roommates, are playing Final Fantasy XIV, and they've been bugging me for weeks to pick it up. And finally, the digital sale comes on, and I can pick it up for $20 and get 30 days, and I'm like, fine, whatever, I'll get it. And I was so busy that night that I didn't get a chance to install it until 10 o'clock. So by the time it finishes downloading, it's 1 a.m. So again, I'm playing till 2 in the morning. And I woke up the Thursday morning, I'm like, man, I cannot do this.
It's because we can't blow off class anymore. Work and class, not the same thing. I remember I used to play until 5 or 6 in the morning, and it was not a big deal because then I just slept till 2. And it was like, oh, well, guess I missed class again. Oh, well. Game.
And maybe it's not a fact of us being that age where we can say that thing from Lethal Weapon, but it's I think it's just, you're right. You wake up in the morning, it's well, I have to go to work. But when I was in university, it's I don't have class till 2 p.m. I'm just going to stay up, I was in programming, so a lot of our teachers were computer programmers, so they were also lazy, and they didn't have classes till like after dinner. So it was like perfect. Sometimes we wouldn't go either way, but hopefully my mother's not listening to this. But yeah, it's just 2 weird evenings in a row, and now I'm sitting here and I haven't touched Wind Waker since I've just been so busy. But what little I did play, it is
The same.
The first 10. Well, yeah, it's the same. 10 minutes. But the first 10 minutes, you instantly realize how much better it looks, how great it looks. Like it's crazy because you have this idea in your mind of what it looked like when you played it 10 years ago, and it didn't feel like other HD re-releases. It actually felt a little more special, I guess. Like other times, it's like, oh, the HD textures have been up-res, but this is different. Like, I don't know, but I have a lot of thoughts about it, and I've been scoping out an article about Wind Waker, so I'm hoping to have that up on the site in the next week, kind of looking at the past, present, and now future of Wind Waker. So, I don't know. Hopefully it'll materialize, but I'm going to be talking a lot more about these things next week because I'll actually have put more than 10 minutes into each of them.
Awesome. So, Ryan and I really appreciate your continued support of our show, including the support of our sponsor, Doghouse Systems. Use the code TheGamersIn to double your RAM when you purchase a new gaming rig. 4 becomes 8, 8 becomes 16, but 16 does not become 32. That would be insane! Head on over to doghousesystems.com and get your order on. Which brings us to Quickfire News.
Former Nintendo president passes away. Satoru Iwata issued the following statement. The entire Nintendo group will carry on the spirit of Mr. Yamauchi by honoring, in our approach to entertainment, the sense of value he has taught us, that there is a merit in doing what is different, and at the same time by changing Nintendo in accordance with changing times. It's like, that's a weird translation. Hiroshi Yamauchi was president at Nintendo for 53 years, from 1949 until 2002, and helped turn a playing card company, think about that, into a video game juggernaut.
GTA 5 has install problems on the Xbox. Beware, any of you gamers who purchase Grand Theft Auto 5 for the Xbox, do not install your play disc. All copies of Grand Theft Auto 5 come with 2 discs, an install disc and a play disc. Installing the play disc means that the system won't be able to load from both the disc and the hard drive install, making your load times much longer. And who wants longer load times?
Nobody.
Did I say play and install too many times? You look very confused.
I don't know. It's just, this whole installed the hard drive disc play thing is really weird. Just get it on PlayStation 3. Nintendo Direct Sneak Attack. This was literally not announced. It just showed up on YouTube. Wii Fit U will release to eShop on November 1st, available as a month-long trial. You unlock it forever by purchasing a Fit Meter, an enhanced step counter, for $19. A bundle will be available in stores on December 13th. Also, Wii Sports Club, another eShop title featuring online functionality for all 5 original sports. It will launch November 7th with bowling and tennis. Pricing is a tad odd, with a $1.99 24-hour pass to all sports, or unlock a sport for $9.99 each.
So if you only plan to play for 24 hours, then $2 is a really good deal. Because really, who played Wii Sports more than that?
Well, the funny thing is that I think a lot of people played them for very long, but $2 a pop is a lot. Or not a lot, it's a lot of time. You're right. Like, it's a free app. Hey,
well, basically, it's like, oh man, I'm having a party. You know what everyone loves at a party? Wii bowling!
Well, the thing is, I mean, if you watch the video, they're actually adding some interesting functionality that, like, they're literally taking the club to heart and allowing you to join a club and compete. So that'll be interesting to see how it works. But yeah, it's 2 really weird Nintendo strategies here that you would never think they'd do.
So apparently Linux is the future of gaming, which is no surprise coming from Gabe. He's been teasing us all week about Valve's upcoming hardware announcement, saying he's bringing Linux to the living room. Newell sees Linux as the most viable platform for the future of the industry, given its openness, which allows for creativity and competition. Valve is expected to make their Steambox announcement in the very near future.
Atlas, purchased by Sega, the company behind cult classic hits like Persona, Shin Megami Tensei, and Catherine, was in a bit of hot water recently as its parent company had filed for bankruptcy. Fans should rest easy as Sega has swooped in to save the day with a pile of money. 141 million US dollars to be exact. Expect a steady stream of quirky Japanese games to continue arriving out west thanks to Sega and Atlas.
Is Catherine the game that you played about a year and a half ago with the really weird thing where you're like playing as a dude and you wake up with a girl who's not your girlfriend and something like that? It was like a weird puzzle game or something.
That is Catherine.
Okay.
And it was actually...
See,
yeah.
I listen. I pay attention.
Well, it was a quirky Japanese game. So it was actually really interesting.
So Diablo 3 is losing its auction house for good as of March 2014. Both the real money and in-game gold auction houses will be removed. The devs over at Blizzard feel it took away from the purpose of Diablo, which is kill a lot of demons and get a lot of loot. More information will be shared in the coming months as to how they are actually going to implement this change. Which brings us to our topic of the week, which we were supposed to have Andrew Allen on the show tonight, but unfortunately, circumstances beyond his control mean he wasn't able to make it. So what we are going to be doing is having him on hopefully some evening in the next couple of days, and Ryan and I will just do a strictly supplemental Andrew Allen interview episode because both Ryan and I are really super psyched to talk to him about his album, Free Play. Mm-hmm. So we are very excited and looking forward to talking to him. And so hopefully, I totally just did that, Ryan. You're stealing my thunder.
Mine has signatures on it.
Oh, mine doesn't have signatures. Mine was still in the plastic. Anyways,
what?
So
you didn't even listen to it.
No. It's open now. It's open now. See?
Oh, but it's still in the plastic
with a rift disc in it. Cause see, it's in my computer. I was listening to it today.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah, no, I have listened to it.
Okay.
But anyways, what was I saying? Yeah, so we're going to have him on because we're super psyched to talk to him. For those of you that don't know, Free Play is modern jazz arrangements of all your favorite old-timey, well, actually not all that old-timey because there's some Portal stuff in there, some WoW stuff, but very recognizable video game themes. So I'm super stoked, and we'll probably have that interview up on our YouTube channel mid next week because we haven't actually nailed down a time as to when we're actually going to interview Andrew, but hopefully that will be happening very, very soon. So for our topic of the week, we asked Twitter to send in any questions that they might have. We are going to expand a little bit on some stuff that's happened in the past week and kind of do an extended quick news, not so quick news. What are we going to call this? Quick, Ryan. Think of a segment name.
We'll call it Long Fire News or something.
This is why Ryan doesn't think of segment names.
We'll call it Topic of the Week News something. Let's just rap. Let's just start a fire and get around it, and we'll rap about some topics.
No rapping.
Not actually rapping.
We have Steam Family Sharing that was announced this past week, which I'm super psyched about because that's one of the things. Joel has my old computer because I got the doghouse back in December. So Joel has my old PC, and so he loaded up Steam and started to download his stuff and then went, oh my god, look at all the games I have. They're not games that he has. They're games that are installed from games that I had. So he was like, oh, so he can't play. But now he can. Do we know anything more about this, really?
Well, I think it's going into beta in October. You had to actually sign up for the group to get in, but which everybody did right away, so it'll be pretty tough to see how this is going to work. But the beauty of it is the name is Steam Family Sharing, but they are looking at it as if everybody else is looking at it. Like, I'm not going to share this with my family. Like, I'm going to share this with my friends. Like, I'm going to share this with people I would actually lend games to. You know, like.
So it's essentially digital game lending is what family sharing is going to be.
Yeah. It's up to a max of 10 people. So, I mean, you can probably think of 10 people that have, you know, decent Steam libraries that you would want to connect with. And
I'm totally stealing all of your games.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, it makes perfect sense for us to share our library because let's take a specific example, you know, Gone Home, you know?
Oh, I'm totally stealing that from you.
Well, okay, let's not think of it like that. Like, I know if the developer
sharing. Jocelyn does sharing.
Jocelyn does sharing, which is basically, you know, but it's true. When you went out and bought a game and beat it, and then you lent it to your friend, like, unless you wanted it right back, he or she probably played it until he finished it. So they're keeping this in mind that, you know, when I open up my library now, publishers can turn this off for their games if they want to.
But
So
then
if the
they'd be
developers
big
have,
jerks.
well, I mean, when you look at the developers have gone home, the reason to keep it open is the game is $20. But the reason to not keep it open is that it's a very short game that someone could play in 3 hours. So it was actually a bad example in the sense that I'm telling you to not give money to deserving indies. But let's look at a bigger game like, say,
Say Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider. Yeah, like I have Tomb Raider. I played it. I beat it. It's like, we got to talk about this, Jocelyn. And I just, I leave it alone because I don't have to do anything. She just has to request it, and then she gets the game, and then she installs it and starts playing it. And if I say I wanted to jump in or be a dick and make her stop playing, all I have to do is click on it, and then it comes
Yank
right
it
back.
back.
To me.
Yep.
It literally kicks you out of the game and says, "Oh, the person who owns this has requested it." It's simple, It's really easy. Why haven't they thought of this before? But it's really neat, and it totally backs up the fact that the PC is gonna be the next gen console to own. Like it's already shaped, it's already taken care of all that digital messiness where people are worried that I want my discs, I want to be able to trade. Steam's already dealt with that shit, so there are paving this awesome path that is going to change come Monday when they announce even more stuff. I think we're going to actually see a fourth console in November. Like it's
In November, really?
Oh well, well they said 2014, but I think that we're going to see Steam be the fourth console this generation.
Ah, okay. Yeah, fair enough.
I don't think I'm not necessarily saying PC. I know PC people would consider a platform, but I'm talking.
It's a platform. It's not a console. Yeah. There's a difference between sitting in your office or whatever and versus sitting on your couch and playing a game, which is one thing that I've really found with BioShock is the most recent example. Is I loved that game on Xbox because I could sit on my couch and be a big lazy butt, and I didn't have to be sitting at my computer, because I sit at my computer working shift work for 12 hours a day. So I don't want to come home and tack another 2 hours onto the end of that, or on my days off, wake up and come and sit in front of a computer again. I want to lounge on the couch in my PJs and just, have at her with a controller. And so the experience of playing that on the Xbox as opposed to the PC was invaluable. So, I mean, PC is definitely a platform, but PC is not a console.
Now, that being said, that the rumors I've heard is that Steam, the problem with PCs, this has always been the problem with PCs, and something I went back when I was strictly a console gamer, and this was my number one argument. It is really hard to treat the PC as a platform because it costs a lot of money, it's a lot of effort, and before Steam, it was a pain in the ass to get games to work because there's all that hardware. And I know this is PC gamers are out there like, oh my god, it's not that hard. You're so stupid. And that's exactly what happened to me in high school, people. You're going to bring up bad memories, so just stop before you post in the chat.
Don't make Ryan cry in the corner.
Please, you know what? The camera does not, get us far enough to look at the corner, so it wouldn't be good. All I'm saying is that, there needs to be a solution to this. And I think what I've heard on Twitter is that people are thinking there isn't going to be a Steam box in the sense that it's going to play PC games. It is going to stream your PC to your TV. It fixes that issue of, it doesn't fix the issue of hardware. I mean, you still got to go out and buy the PC you want, but it's taking your Steam library and streaming it to the TV as opposed to having to lug the computer over. It's fixing that.
I was really interested in the whole big picture thing, and I was just like, okay, well, I really want to give this a shot. Almost every game that I pick up now has this little big picture icon, and then so I finally clicked on it, and it's like, okay, with one cable you can blah 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 blah, and I was like, okay, and then I realized I needed like a 25-foot cable in a hole in the wall to hook my PC up, or I need to unplug everything and lug it into the living room, and all of these things are just not viable day-to-day solutions for actually playing on the PC. So playing on the PC in the living room.
Well, I mean, King Arga in the chat is saying, well, just hook up your PC to the TV in the living room. It's like, yeah, some people will do that, but there's still, like Jocelyn's saying, there's the issue of, HDMI, there's the issue of Ethernet if you don't have a wireless cord, which I have. I don't know why I came to this conclusion. Oh, it was for streaming, because if I wanted to stream my console games, I had to bring my computer into the room. But if you use wireless, the connection's shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to run an Ethernet cable from the living room, which is about 50 feet, into my office. Ashley hates it because there's this like tripwire going through the house.
It's an early warning system.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone comes in, it's like,
Fiance alarm! Fiance alarm!
yeah, like, oh my god, shut down. I don't know what games should you not watch me playing. Just someone died in Tomb Raider really, really badly. It's super great. There's that barrier that's stopping people from doing it, and I think it's easier to fix the lag issue with streaming, high def content than it is to fix the issue of how do we build a box that's small enough as a console but can play all the computer games ever invented ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's they're two really complex problems, and I think Valve can
gonna fix it.
Because I mean, people are like, oh my god, maybe we'll get Half-Life 3. I'm like, if they were going to make Half-Life 3, they would have made Half-Life 3 by now. They're only interested in what's making super money, and Steam is making super money.
Steam is making super money. Speaking
No matter
of,
what Steam does.
we are getting closer and closer and closer to Black Friday and all of that. So save your pennies, people. So that pretty much wraps up Steam and Valve. Something else that happened this week that I think we're briefly going to touch on is all of the Grand Theft Auto 5 reviews. And we're going to touch on this really, really briefly because really it could be a whole topic to itself. And maybe it will be next week. I don't know. We'll have to see. But basically what happened is there were a whole bunch of reviewers that gave Grand Theft Auto 5 10 out of 10 reviews. There was one guy who gave them 9 out of 10 and took a whole ton of shit. And then there was the Escapist, I believe, that gave it 6 out of 10 or 7 out of 10. And the internet just basically ripped them a new one because they said, oh, how can you dock 3 points for, not liking the 3 main characters or blah, 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 blah. And that kind of opened up the whole idea of game reviews and scores in general, and how should people be rating games and just rating things in general, because I mean, like, for instance, the biggest example I think of an absolute shit show of reviewing is Skyward Sword. It's like, I know, Ryan, you're gonna jump to its defense, but that is not a 10 out of 10 game. That is a 10 out of 10 like graded on a stupid Nintendo crazy curve. So
yeah, it's not a 10 out of 10. It's a very highly scored Wii game, but there are issues with it that
that's
deserve
the curve.
No, again, you can't dock it for being on a specific console. Like, that's not fair.
Well, okay, but then that brings up the other question of why does every game start at 10 out of 10? Shouldn't you be working up to a perfect score as opposed to down from a perfect score?
Yeah, well, I agree. I don't think you should start with any score. I mean, this isn't you're not building a clay model where you start at the top or bottom and you work your way up, and it's not a marble stone where you're carving away the imperfections. It's a video game. You play it and you decide, you write a review, and then you look at the review and the text and you say, okay, this sounds like a X out of 10. That's how I would approach a review. I'm sure some people have like, a cheat system where they start at 10 out of 10 and start docking, but that's not a proper way to review something.
I think what I've been noticing in the last probably year or so, almost every big release coming out, I mean, it happened with Tomb Raider, it happened with BioShock, it's happened with Grand Theft Auto 5, it happened with even SimCity before the whole server debacle when it went live to everyone. Everything was somewhere between 9 and 10 out of 10. It's like they've given up the whole other range from 1 to 9, and now everything is just like 9.1, 9.2, 9.3. Like there's just this like shrunken down range of review scores now because everything that is a big release on, in HD with awesome graphics and a great soundtrack and some semblance of a story is now a 10 out of 10 game.
Scores are fucked. The Scores, scores were awesome. Do you remember when we were kids and you'd get the latest Nintendo Power or Game Informer or whatever was around back then, and you'd look at the stars like, oh my God, Grand Theft Auto 3, just to keep it in the same era, got 5 stars, and you read the review and like, I can't wait to buy this because the only information you got for it was that magazine, and there was no Metacritic. I mean, like,
Well, that has all its own problems.
I
I was
don't
thinking
understand.
strictly of professional reviewers as opposed to
Well, I'm talking about
aggregate sites.
Metacritic in the sense that it takes all those numbers from professional reviewers and smashes it into an average. Like that
Isn't,
means
I mean, I don't use Metacritic to decide what I want to play, but doesn't Metacritic,
Sure.
or does it have two separate scores? Because I thought that there was this user influence in Metacritic.
Well, there's 2 scores in the sense that there is a reviewer score, which is an average of all the reviews, sort of like Rotten Tomatoes, and then you have a user score, which is, user reviews.
Right.
And people seem to feel the need to go in and say, like give it a low score. Like just like a game maybe doesn't deserve to be a 10, it also doesn't deserve to be a 1 because you think it should have been a 7. Like the internet again, like I don't care if I piss
Internet.
anybody off. The internet is there are a lot of people on the internet that just are not following the don't be a dick rule set
Yeah.
of what should be, when you sign in, a contract to get your internet, there should be a little checkbox. Do you agree not to be a dick? If you check that and then you're a dick, you get
No
kicked
more
off.
internet. You're
I
out of
think
the
that should
internet
be a
club.
thing. I mean, if we ever start our own country here at Gamers In, that's going to be the first on the docket.
Fair enough. But like I said, this could probably be a whole other entire thing.
Well, I thought that topic in general should be, but I thought you were going to talk about the review at GameSpot that scored it very high, a 9 out of 10, but got a ton of shit for having a paragraph describing the issues in the way women were treated in the game.
No, I didn't hear about this. Oh, let's talk about this.
Well, okay, again, this
How did I
isn't going to
miss
be
this?
an Anita
No,
discussion.
no. I
This
will
is-
not rip on Anita, I promise.
This is in general of what's going on in the industry, where I think a lot of high-profile reviewers, review sites are mentioning. They're starting to be like, okay, we have a role in this industry to start calling out shit, and that shit is the fact that in GTA, the paragraph described that what little women that appear in this game. Not that they're little, there's just not a lot of
Yes, yeah.
high-profile women characters,
Mhm.
and they're not treated well. I mean, they're either, treated as
Girlfriends or
stupid
strippers
just,
or hookers or-
strippers or
yeah.
hookers. And again, I haven't played, so I can't, speak about it. But 3 main characters are 3 dudes, and Rockstar said, "Hey, this is a story about 3 guys. We wrote the story like that."
There's
Fancy
nothing
big
wrong
deal.
with a story about 3 guys.
No.
What is there going to be? One guy, one girl, and one, like, split down the middle, like Two-Face, half guy, half girl, just to make it all even? Let's all be equal? What? No, it's 3 dudes.
Yeah.
Get over it.
You can't make everybody happy, and even the way they said it, like the reason there's 3 guys is this is a story about masculinity. Hey, even though women are treated badly in certain mediums, there's still such a thing as masculinity, and it can be explored in video games. It's done a hell of a lot, and maybe video game industry people should try something different, but that doesn't
Or
excuse
gamers
them.
need to buy something different. If gamers keep buying it, then people are voting with their money, and those are the stories they want to see. And it's not like dudes are the only ones that play these games. There's tons
Oh,
of
no.
girls that play Grand Theft Auto. The only reason I don't play Grand Theft Auto is because I don't like the mechanics. And Grand Theft Auto 5 might be a change. I don't know if they have a new engine, but I mean, I didn't like LA Noire and I didn't like Red Dead Redemption for the exact same reason, because it feels like you're driving the Grand Theft Auto 3 car, but it looks like a horse. And
Yeah.
that mechanic to me doesn't work, so I don't like Rockstar games. It has nothing to do with the content. So I would totally play Grand Theft Auto 5. Why not? If
Yeah.
the cars didn't drive like they were 2 buildings wide, like.
And I mean the issue isn't the fact that she brought it to light, because it's something she mentioned. The game still scored fairly highly, and she didn't dock marks because of it. She just felt it was something that needed to be said, and people jumped all over. And it is something to be said. I mean, when you play a game and the only example of female characters are just, there's no strong character. I think I think it's important to probably, you know, have one or two. In a game such as big as GTA 5, you would think there'd be at least one woman in the city who's got her shit together, you know?
Well,
Like, you
maybe,
can't.
but why would three gangsters who like to shoot hookers and steal cars be
Mhm.
involved with this woman who's got her shit together?
What if there's a cop? Like,
No,
the
there's no
first
cops in Grand Theft Auto.
the first promotional image that came out for this game was a female cop busting a female drug dealer, and people looked at that and said, "Ooh, Rockstar might be doing something interesting with female characters this time." And then it turns out there's an overweight bald guy, another older guy, and a young black guy. You know, it's just I totally understand what you're saying, and I agree with you, but it just makes no sense to pile on people like this. And a few sites mentioned it. Polygon seems to do it with every review.
Polygon
Um,
is pretty great.
they're a great site, but I feel the need to say, like, they call bullshit when the bullshit's there, you know? And it's not their fault that every game that they review seems to have one thing that they call bullshit on. You know, that's just the way games are. But yeah, that was the other shit that came out with. But this game made $1 billion in 3 days.
Did
So
it really?
yeah, stop complaining, people.
Wow.
If you want change, don't buy GTA 5.
Yeah.
It's still great. I hear it's a great game. I'm gonna buy it eventually. But
Those Rockstar people, man, they're just printing money. That's crazy because I can't remember off the top of my head what LA Noire made, but that one made a shit ton of money in that first, like,
right.
whatever that was, week or something. That was, I can't remember if it broke the $1 billion mark, but it was up there. It was a lot of money. Oh yeah, the chat room is saying, oh no wait, this must be Grand Theft Auto. 800 million in one day.
Yeah, one day was 800 million, and
Yeah.
then the next, you know,
Next
and that
day they
just
broke a
proves,
billion.
like,
Whew, it's a lot of money.
this game had a huge budget. They had advertised it at $250 million, which is huge in the video game industry. But then when you look at the ending result of $1 billion in 3 days, like, that just proves what can happen when you give a very talented team a limited amount of money, a limited amount of time, and great marketing. You know,
Yeah.
the marketing was pretty good in this game. I don't think there was many issues with it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, very true. So we have two more questions that came through Twitter, and I am just very, very quickly going to ask the chat room if you guys have any questions that you want us to answer, anything that you've always wanted to know or opinion on, if we haven't covered it or anything else, then throw them in the chat in the next couple seconds because we're almost on the show. So on Twitter, we were asked by quite good friends of mine who have a child on the way in the next couple of months. And they wanted to know what we thought would be a good recommendation for them to go with the Xbox One or the PS4. So, Ryan, it is a young couple with a kid on the way. Xbox One or PS4? Thoughts?
I have to go with Xbox One because those
Ooh,
those Kinect games are a lot of fun. But then again, you say
That
it's
is
a
true.
newborn. So
well,
you
yeah, the
probably-
newborn won't be playing right away, but the Kinect game, that's actually a really, really good idea because, I mean, obviously I don't know 100% how the Kinect integration is going to work and all of that kind of stuff, but if the Kinect does voice and face recognition and stuff, I'm sure there's probably a lot of things where they could lock out the kind of higher rated games, or if the kid is sitting there, then it will just show them the Netflix for kids or whatever. Like, there's definitely some possibly kid friendly stuff going on there with the Xbox One. That's a good idea.
I think there's more with the Xbox One than there is with the
Yeah.
PS4.
I
At
was
launch.
going to go with PS4. I wasn't thinking so much of the kid, but I was thinking more along the lines of with the PS4, they seem to really be pushing indie titles, and indie titles seem to be stuff that you can kind of pick up, play for 10 minutes, and leave, which there are kid emergencies all the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if your kid is going to be touching something or eating something they shouldn't or puking everywhere because they ate something they shouldn't and you have to save and drop a game, you don't want that to be like Titanfall. You want that to
No.
be like some platformer indie game, and PS4 is going to have a whole lot more of those. One I can think of was on the PS3, which is one of my favorite little indie type, I don't even think it was an indie, but anyways, Fat Princess. freaking love that game. So,
Yeah.
yeah, if they like, but that's the kind of thing that you can totally just walk away from and it's not a big deal.
Um, the chat room's very divided. One person says just save money and buy diapers, which I have heard. If you're not going the cloth route, you might need to not buy one of these consoles. But hey, I'd much prefer cleaning shitty rags and get a next gen console.
There's that. There's that.
Wes is suggesting Knack on PS4, which is basically playing a cartoon. So, but the issue is that okay. Does he have he has a young family, or he has a baby coming on the way?
A baby on the way. Yeah, baby on the way.
That's it? There's no other kids?
No.
So in that sense, I would probably say the PS4, because there is going to be a really great game coming out, what I think is going to be great, which is Knack, a game that you can play in front of your kid without worrying it's going to affect him, like scar him for life. And you'll still enjoy yourself, Whereas with the Xbox One, like, if the kid was older, you could play Kinect Sports with him. I've played those Kinect games. They're stupid, but they're a lot of fun, especially when you're just screwing around, right? But if you're looking for games to play yourself, without scarring your kid, probably the PS4 is going to get more of those titles.
Although the Xbox had that really cool, I can't remember what it was called now, but it was basically the build your own video game thing. And everyone keeps telling me that there's no way that that's actually going to work, but I'm holding out that that's actually going to be a thing, and I'm really, really excited for it, and I can't remember what it's called now. Come on, chat room.
Is it Spark?
Yeah, Spark, that's it. Yeah, the Project Spark, where you can, build your own world and drop in characters and all that kind of stuff. And that could be really fun. It could be a really, really fun, kid-friendly way to, sit down with your kid and say, okay, well, what characters are kid-friendly and I want to get them into video games and thinking about programming or, environment building or whatever. It looks like it could be quite a cool educational tool. So, there's that to think about as well, I think, in terms of those two. But I think for right now, given that it's going to be a few years before the kid gets to that stage, I would still say PS4.
Yeah, just look at the games that are coming out, and you look at the games that you can play in front of your kid, and if that list looks like a done deal, you buy that system. And really, like, I know people who have kids that are still gamers. Like, there is going to be times, less of them, but there will be times when, I shouldn't even be talking about it. I don't have kids, but I'm pretty sure there'll be times when the kid is off doing something else, like sleeping.
That's how kids work, right? They're not actually attached to your hip, right?
Not all the time. You could probably steal away and, play a little Killzone or Assassin's Creed. I don't know.
But that kind of one of the comments in the chat room is that you can do either that, so what Ryan and I suggested, or pick up a Wii U, which kind of leads into our next question that came off of Twitter, which was, does Ryan regret his Wii U purchase? And we've kind of touched on this in the past, and I think it might have been a little bit of sarcasm coming from the person who asked it, who is Ryan's co-host on another podcast, Paul Swickard. So Ryan, like I said, we have touched on this a little bit in the past. Do you regret purchasing your Wii U? Do you wish that you'd waited until Pikmin came out?
Well, that actually is a good question, because when Paul asked it, it kind of seemed like, it's like, oh man, is he giving up on that Nintendo yet? It's like, no,
Why is Swick all of a sudden a redneck?
Because all Americans are rednecks too, us Canadians, I guess. I don't know. That's not true. Would I have waited if I had known there were going to be no games coming out for 8 months? Yeah, probably. I probably would have waited, even without.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, but it's so hard to know that. You know, like when I bought it, there were. I covered this, like, the article I wrote, waiting on a Wii U game, like that pretty much describes this whole scenario. I might not have actually admitted that I would have waited if I had known there were going to be no games, but Nintendo did not plan to have an 8-month drought.
Yep.
That's business suicide, and not even even people think Nintendo's stupid enough to do that. They are not. This was just a series of unfortunate events without Jim Carrey. It was just
nice.
Really bad.
So the chat room actually does have a couple questions for us. They want to know if this comes from, Callie572. Do you guys think that Grand Theft Auto 5 would make it would do as good if it was another company that made it. I don't know,
Wow.
Ryan. What do you think? I think that, geez, Rockstar has a lot of clout and they have a lot of money to throw at it. There are other companies, like I'm thinking, like you got BioWare, you got Bethesda. Bethesda does well with, open world stuff, and BioWare does well with really big budgets. So I think either one of those probably would have had a good shot at it. But I don't know, Ryan, what
Yeah.
do you think?
Um, I think you nailed it right at the beginning. Like Rockstar is this company that's proven themselves time and time again to be able to create this amazing game and game world, and no other company would get this sort of support. A game that takes 5 years to make, $250 million, delayed multiple times, like, and then you get this great product. Like a lot of other companies would be like, we're not going to give you more than 100 million, and no, you're not going to get 5 years, and you're
Yeah.
damn well not allowed to delay this. Like,
Yeah.
Rockstar has that clout, and they're able to, well, the reason we're at GTA 5 and the reason it's made $1 billion in 3 days is because they've proven themselves and they've earned the right to be treated this way. Sure, a lot of other companies could make the game, but I don't think it'd be the same game. It'd
Yeah. Very
be
true.
different somehow.
Less hookers.
Well, maybe more.
Maybe
mean,
maybe more, huh?
maybe more. You don't
Everyone's
know.
and you don't know. Everyone's giving them shit for having so many hookers and no strong female characters. Maybe if it was someone else, there'd be more hookers.
Or male hookers.
Oh.
Nothing wrong with male hookers. I'm just saying maybe they would have added male hookers. A little diversity.
Oh, that's true. That's true. So, I think I'm scanning the chat room really, really fast. I think that's pretty much it for the show. So, Ryan, you want to talk about what's happening after the show?
Yeah, we back in the day, if people remember, after the show, we had a little post show. Sometimes we'd have some community gaming nights. So we're gonna get that going again. Paul and I, we're gonna make up after the show. We're gonna play some games together. We're gonna talk to each other nicely for once. So after Gamers In, from now on Fridays, not necessarily just me and Paul, but everybody is welcome. Jocelyn will be joining us from time to time. But
And
tonight,
I'm just gonna say really quickly that the reason that I won't be joining all the time, guys, is I still work shift work, and so I start bright and early at 7 a.m. on Saturday mornings, and it's already 11 p.m. for me here. So with the shift
She does
work
not
on
hate-
Saturday mornings, it's not that I hate you guys or I hate games or I don't want to hang out with my awesome Gamers In crew. It is strictly a work thing. So I might give it a shot next week and then see how tired I am going into the shift, but yeah, I'm gonna do my best to be here for you guys as often as possible because I love you, and we're coming up on 100 episodes, and I think that's awesome, and I want to give back in some of my time and hanging out in the chat room, hence our chat room talk tonight. So for those of us, or actually for those of you who aren't in the chat room right now, you can check us out at twitch.tv/amovetv at 8:30 p.m. every Friday night. So I think Ryan is about to get kicked off his computer. I don't know.
the door has been slammed open, and I'm being told, "No, I'm on the show still. You're gonna have to wait." No.
Boom.
We're gonna be streaming on tonight at twitch.tv/swick, and in the future we'll have more details as to how we're gonna be doing this. But for now it's just very casual, and we're welcome to take suggestions for games and for people you want to actually see on the stream, because it's definitely not just gonna be me and Paul. We're gonna bring people in.
Yes. Which is very, very exciting. So that's pretty much it for us on the show this week. So you can visit us on the web at gamersinpodcast.com or email us at info@gamersinpodcast.com. You can find us on AMove TV along with other fabulous podcasts including Starcast, Campaign Roundtable, Biggest Fan, and This Week in Blizz has actually unfortunately somewhat kind of come to an end. So although the archives of This Week in Blizz are still there and they are still recording a show on Monday night, it is now called AMove TV. No, wait. AMove Radio, not AMove TV Radio, because that would just be way confusing. So,
But still radio.
so
AMove radio, but still TV radio movie.
yes,
Movie. Yeah.
yeah. So, anyways, it's the AMove show. We'll call it that. So it's still the same crew from This Week in Blizz, but they're just gonna kind of break the mold a little and have some fun with the video games they love. Still going to be really heavy on the Blizzard talk, but it's just going to kind of let them steer away from some of the Diablo stuff and into some of the cooler stuff that's going on in the industry. So you should definitely check them out on Monday nights. You can follow us on Twitter. You can find me, Jocelyn, at GIS Gamer. Ryan is at R. Murphy, and don't forget to follow the show at The Gamers Inn. You can also find us on Facebook and Google+. Before we go, I just want to give a quick shout out and thank you to Greg Moffat for creating our music. You can find him on Twitter at SoundsInfluence. We would also like to thank Joel Duggan of StarCrossed Online, who does all of our graphic work. You can find him and everything he does at joelduggan.com. So thanks for staying at The Gamers Inn, and remember, tune in next week. Bye!
Bye.